It all began at about 11:30 this morning when two gunmen burst into Columbine High School in suburban Denver. There was gunfire, reports of explosions. Police and emergency personnel descended on the school. The whole terrifying scene played out on national television.
Well, it's happened again. There's been a shooting at a school in America. This time,
students poured out of the school, telling stories about their encounters with the young gunmen. Stories that sounded strikingly similar.
I saw them have weapons, black masks, black trench coats, and needless to say, I was very frightened. I saw some students running, and I felt lucky that I got away as fast as I did, and I thank the Lord that I got to hide where I did, and they did not see me and blow me away subsequently.
We hear a shot, a loud bang, and then we hear some guy go, "Holy crap, there's a guy with a gun." So everybody starts freaking out. One of my friends goes up to the door and says there's a guy standing there. We evacuate to the corner of our classroom, and my teacher just doesn't know what to do because she's so freaked.
As the crisis unfolded, the images often outran the information. For much of the day, more questions than answers.
We really don't know how many suspects. We do feel like we're dealing with certainly more than one.
The police officer tells me they aren't sure if there are any more injuries because they really don't know what's going on inside the school.
There was mass panic, and apparently the gunman then moved into the library.
I have heard shots. We took cover behind our patrol vehicles, and it sounded like heavy shots, as in a long rifle or some kind of an automatic weapon.
We understand that there were at least 2 explosions earlier on.
Have you heard from any of your friends? Did all your friends get out okay?
I have no idea. I haven't heard from a single one.
In a high school of 1,800 students, literally thousands of parents, relatives, and friends were desperately looking for information about their loved ones.
The police are asking you not to call 911. They're trying to get an information number up.
We have parents calling the church trying to find out if their kids, if we heard anything, if we know anything.
And police really had their hands full just trying to keep people from just, driving right by this barrier. They've just had to run after people and stop them because obviously, parents are very concerned and with good reason.
The fear spread to a nearby elementary school.
The school is in lockdown. None of the kids can get out. No one can get in.
And at 1:45, 2 hours after the shooting began, as more students managed to escape Columbine High, their stories told on live TV described the brutality inside.
I was in the library, and the whole room was just filled with smoke, and I heard gunshots all over, and the 2 guys came into the library and were just shooting everyone that they could. And the girl who was sitting right across from me under the table was shot in the head right there. And, it was the worst feeling that I've ever had because, blood was just going all over.
Now, how did you manage to get away?
Once they left the library, we just kind of ran and were running towards the cop cars.
Swarms of police and rescue crews attended to those who could get out. Emergency workers showed up on their day off to help.
There are probably about 150 to 200 officers from 6 or 7 different districts. There are still a lot of questions unanswered. There apparently has not been communication established with the shooters inside the building.
But even though no one had talked to the gunmen yet, a theory was forming on who they were.
And we understand from one witness, a student who goes to Columbine High School, that she describes a group that used to hang out, in her words, at the school, used to go by the name of Trenchcoat Mafia.
Several student witnesses said they thought the shooters were part of a clique that wore black trench coats to school. One claimed to hear a young gunman say why he was doing it.
They were saying that, that they wanted to do this for their revenge. For the school, I guess, because, they're such an outcast at our school.
At 1:50, as SWAT team officers entered the school to get more kids out, others detained 3 students nearby.
We had 3 individuals that were ascending upon the school wearing kind of military camouflage fatigue type things. They were detained, and it appears they are associates of these gentlemen or good friends of these gentlemen.
Still, no word from the gunmen, whoever they were. But reports from local hospitals spoke of multiple gunshot wounds. One girl suffered 9 wounds to the chest. Student survivors were loaded on buses and taken to a nearby elementary school. Parents were frantic to find them.
My daughter, Bethany Urban, I can't find her.
Some parents were reunited with their children, relief that defied words. Some students were still wondering what happened to their friends.
Who specifically are you looking for from your friends?
A couple of my friends, 2 Megans and Courtney and Nicole and
We're just trying to find them all.
Off the perimeter.
3:40 p.m. News reports indicate the female student with 9 chest wounds is out of surgery and incredibly is in fair condition. At least 2 other teens with multiple gunshot wounds are still in the operating room.
More students, still more.
3:50 p.m. Law enforcement officers continue to evacuate shaken students from the school, ordering them to run with their hands on their heads. Everyone is a potential suspect.
Hopefully none of these are any of those that were involved in the shooting.
For some, there is relief.
Oh, no, our friends just showed up. So. Yeah, and more people keep showing up, so we have more and more reason to be happy.
But many students are still unaccounted for. Inside Columbine High School, the extraordinary drama continues to unfold. SWAT teams combing every inch, searching for students, suspects, alive or dead. At 4:05, after a day of watching and waiting, Steve Davis, a spokesman for the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, holds a press conference to deliver the sobering facts. The news is not good.
Right now, the latest update that I have heard is that we have approximately 15 to 18 people who have been transported to area hospitals. We do have some fatalities.
For the first time, Davis confirms there are fatalities. 2 suspects dead in the library. And Davis says the death toll inside could be as high as 25.
It's unknown whether those fatalities are students, faculty, or a mixture of both.
The scene inside, Davis says, is gruesome. Explosive devices were also found near the dead suspects.
The SWAT team from our department has been joined by at least 3 other SWAT teams from area agencies, and they are still currently working the area and the building, looking for additional victims and suspects.
A third potential suspect, not at the school, has been taken into custody. But law enforcement officers say they still are unsure what was behind the deadly shooting spree.
Well, it appears to be a suicide mission, but one, you know, I think we've had a lot of media attention on these things around the country, and you don't know how much that plays into giving somebody else an idea to do it.
While one student had speculated that revenge was the motive, another who was inside says there may have been more to it than that. Hate.
I looked out the window, and there's a kid with a trench coat and a shotgun throwing pipe bombs in the parking lot, and then he shot a girl outside. And then he came into the cafeteria, and you could hear, like, bombs and shotguns going off. And then he came into the library and shot everybody around me, then put a gun to my head and asked if we all wanted to die, and he was going to kill us if we were of color, and if we had a hat, and if we played sports.
And what did you do at that point?
I just started screaming and crying and telling him not to shoot me. And so he shot the girl. She shot her in the head in front of me. And he shot the black kid because he was black. And he shot him in the face.
To the families who have lost their loved ones, to the parents who have lost their beloved children, to the wounded children and their families, to the people of the community of Littleton, I can only say tonight that the prayers of the American people are with you.
As he addressed the nation on television tonight, President Clinton reflected on the agony of a small Colorado community and the nation. As he promised help, no one can overestimate the work crisis counselors do. But after Pearl, Mississippi, after Paducah, Kentucky, after Jonesboro, Arkansas, and Springfield, Oregon, parents, teachers, and students are asking when the day will come when crisis counselors won't have to be sent in the first place.
A pretty harrowing day. Can you just tell us where you were and what you heard and what you saw?
Yeah, I was down in the Commons eating lunch when it all happened, and I heard like gunshots. It sounded like big cannons. I mean, it was just loud, like echoing through the halls. And I mean, there were so many kids everywhere, and we heard, I was like stood up and I saw smoke out in the, like where all the cars were in the parking lot, and I don't know, I guess it might have been like some kind of bomb or something, and then somebody ran in and he just said, everybody get down, everybody down. And so we got down, and then one of the teachers ran through, and he opened a door to the auditorium, like a back door, and we ran through the auditorium and out one of the side doors, and we had to run through Clement Park and jump a fence, and we went over to the Columbine library where people, you know, all the librarians were really nice and helping us, you know, get cell phones to call our parents, and, you know, they gave us food and water, and, you know, they were really helpful.
Sarah, I'm trying to imagine this. In the Commons, is that outside or inside a structure?
That's inside, but it's downstairs, and there's windows all around on one side, and I mean there's just tons of tables and tons of kids everywhere, and but it's inside the building.
Is this what is referred to as the cafeteria?
Yeah, it's the same place.
All right, so this is where the gunmen came, I guess, as soon as you got out and were shooting. What have you heard went on in that area after you left?
After I left, I heard that they might have found a couple bodies down there, but I don't know because I was towards one of the sides of the Commons and I got out pretty fast, so I wasn't hanging around. I mean, I didn't want to be there. I just ran as fast as I could, and I mean, I hope, you know, none of them were my friends, or even if they're people I've never met before. I mean, my heart goes out to their families. There's nothing I can't really tell their parents anything.
Do you know anything about these, without naming them, these two young men or this black trench coat mafia clique? What do you know about them?
Well, I've heard people talking about the trench coat mafia or whatever, but I mean, I just saw them. I saw them around school all the time, but I didn't think anything of it. You know, they were just in their own little group doing their thing. I mean, they never threatened me or were mean or anything, and one of the guys was actually in my gym class last semester, and he was nice. I mean, he never started anything with anybody. He just really friendly guy. I mean, never got in any fights. They just kept to themselves pretty much. I mean, I'd never really heard of anything going on.
How long did it take you after you escaped to figure out what was going on and who they were?
It actually took probably a couple hours. I mean, after we went over to the Columbine library, everybody was just trying to find friends and crying. I mean, I was hysterical. I was crying, and then we went in and they had they had a TV on, and so we kind of found out what was going on, but the black trench coat thing, we didn't hear about that for a while. We didn't know what was going on with that. So.
Sarah, what about your friends? Did you have friends that had a more harrowing time of it?
Yeah, my friend Katie, who was on earlier, and she was in her science class, and a couple of my friends were like in closets hiding, and I mean, some of them, luckily a lot of my friends went out to lunch today, and so they were just coming back, so they didn't have any part of it, and a couple of them were homesick, but for the most part, I think my friends are okay. I've tried to get a hold of as many people as I can, but
do you have any idea about the people that were targeted by these gunmen?
I've just heard that they were going after the people that played sports and minority groups, but I really don't know. I wasn't around long enough for them to, like, I didn't hear anybody talking about it, but that's just what I've heard from other students.
Sarah, this is your high school. Are you going to be able to go back?
I don't know. It's just going to be different. I mean, walking down the hallways of someplace, I always thought I was safe there with everybody. I mean, I thought this was a wonderful neighborhood, and just now when I walk down the hallways and look at the lockers, there'll probably be holes in them, and when I sit in a class and look over, maybe it's somebody I'd never met before, but they were in my class and I just see an empty seat. I don't think I'll be able to handle it. I don't know.
Sarah Schweizberger, thanks for staying up and talking to us. Good luck.